One thing I want to see is more small out-of-the-way references to Disney properties, like for example, Lady and the Tramp in Traverse Town. While I feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 has some of these types of things, there just wasn't enough. One of the things I've wanted to see since I started playing Kingdom Hearts is to see Mary Poppins. Now let's face it, there's a lot of Disney properties that aren't going to get a world in Kingdom Hearts. No matter how much you want Tarzan, it will never come back. And as much as it pains me to say, Treasure Planet will probably never get one either. Especially now that Star Wars is on the table. I believe Mary Poppins is one of those movies. Now, do I believe Mary Poppins has a chance to get into Kingdom Hearts? Yes. It's just not going to be a fully fleshed out world, which I believe is fine. The reason Mary Poppins became such a hit movie was not because of the theme of the movie, or the place it was set in, but because it has such a lovable and memorable main character. You could have her living in Quadratum and having her at the park for minigames. After each world, when you revisit Quadratum, you could see her in the park with a new chalk drawing on the ground for you to jump in. And I think this works perfect for Sora, because while he is not a child anymore, he still has that childlike wonder. And not every character has to have some big important role in the story. Like in Kingdom Hearts 1, there were 101 Dalmatians. It was a fun little side thing to do, and it was cool that they were there. I don't think they would have had a chance of getting their own 4 world though. Now Mary Poppins is just one example that I came up with. Now that Sora is in what is the equivalent of the Real World Tokyo, maybe there could be a shop in Quadratum that references Disney properties like a Peter Pan item shop and call it the Lost Boys. This would be the equivalent of Verum Rex being a video game in Toy Box. You could also take the easy route of just having collectible Disney items you find scattered throughout the worlds, like Genie's lamp from Aladdin or the Solar Surfer from Treasure Planet, but what I want to see is more Disney properties in the game. The next thing I want to talk about is that I want everything I see to be explorable. Not as in I want every world to be so big that it'll take hours to explore, but in fact the opposite. One thing that I did not like about Kingdom Hearts 3 is that you see these worlds like Destiny Island, the Mysterious Tower, and Castle Oblivion, in which you only see them through cutscenes and don't get to do anything with them. It's not a bad thing to have more worlds like Twilight Town that are just a couple of explorable areas. Now granted, I wish Twilight Town was at least as big as it was in Kingdom Hearts 2, but not every world has to be a big, giant, and over-the-top area. You could easily take out a big world like Frozen, or Tangled, or something that doesn't really have anything to do with the plot, and give smaller areas some more love. One of my personal favorite things about Kingdom Hearts 2 was that you go back through each world a second time, and the story continues, or might even have a different story with that world. It makes it feel more like a real place versus an area that you just go through to get to another and never see again. Going off on a little tangent here, I like loading zones in video games. They do a few things that I particularly enjoy. They make it easier for somebody like me who is bad with directions to not get lost and make each area of the map feel more distinct from one another. I could tell you more areas off the top of my head from the Land of Dragons than Monstropolis. That might just be because I've played Kingdom Hearts 2 more than I've played Kingdom Hearts 3, but memorizing small sections is definitely easier than memorizing some giant map. Okay, tangent over. My point with this is that I'd rather have more content in a condensed area than the same amount of content spread over a larger one. This point will be less about things I want in Kingdom Hearts 4 and more things I didn't like in Kingdom Hearts 3. That is not to say that I dislike Kingdom Hearts 3 as a whole, but there are things I would have definitely changed. The first point I want to talk about is the Gummy Ship section / editor. I know it's kind of a split decision between people who like it and people who don't, and I can see both sides of it. On one hand, you have the people who like the explorability of it and all the big boss battles in it. Then on the other side, people say that it's slow and empty. I'm more on the side of the latter, because when I play a Kingdom Hearts game, I'm not coming for space travel, I'm coming to see the worlds and what each of the worlds have to offer. However, I do like the Gummy Ship section in Kingdom Hearts 2 and even Kingdom Hearts 1, because it's a minigame breather in between the different worlds. Kingdom Hearts by nature is a slow game, and each world will take you at least a couple hours to do. Imagine going from world to world and not getting a break in between. The gummy ship in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 gives that break from exploration, but with Kingdom Hearts 3, you have the big world that you are exploring and then going and exploring with the gummy ship again. I think that's just a little bit too much. Now with the gummy ship editor, I believe most people agree with me when I say it's not that fun. And the only time I ever used it was to get the achievement for the game and never pick it up again. The thing about it is, if I was into doing that kind of stuff as in making ships or optimizing builds, I would do it in some other game that was specifically made to do that. So, instead of a gummy ship editor, give us a Keyblade editor. Let the people make their own Keyblades that can be used inside of the game. In the editor, you can have 3 parts to the Keyblade: the teeth, the shaft, and the handle. You can let people choose which parts they want based on what kind of build they want. It could even be unlocked after the first playthrough to give it more replayability. What Keyblades you unlock during the first playthrough gives you the basis of what you need for the second. I just think it'll be a really cool thing that everybody would enjoy doing over the gummy ship editor. It would make for each playthrough more memorable. You know what else could be brought back? Wardrobe changes, like how it was in 0.2. Yeah, that was pretty cool. This kind of thing goes along with the previous point, and where it's just something I don't like about Kingdom Hearts 3, so I guess I'll just name it as 3.5. Some more things I didn't like were attraction flows, which I'm pretty sure most people will agree with me on. An opinion I have that might not be shared with others is that I did not really like the Keyblade transformations and Keyblade switching. I liked them at first, but as time went on, I liked them less and less. They are in no way a bad mechanic, and they do look really cool, but after a while they start to become pretty boring to me. Let's start with Keyblade transformations. The main reason I didn't like it is because there was no downside to it. As long as you can keep hitting enemies, you always have it. But it seems like I always have it except for the times that I really need it. So I'll swing at some Heartless to defeat them, but by the time I got the transformation ready and going, all the enemies have already been defeated. I know you can save it for later, but a couple things usually happen. I either forget about it or I switch over to it, and by the time I actually get to use it, the time limit is already half gone and I don't feel like I have done anything cool with it. Plus, I would rather have something that I can do once at any time I want to, like draft forms, versus something that I can do more often, but I have to wait for certain situations to happen first. You can say skill issue all you want, but it's easier to just swing the regular Keyblade than go through a few second animation every time I use it. The only reason switching is a thing is because of the transformations. You would switch because you have a magic build Keyblade and a strength build Keyblade. I might like it more if the switching was more fluid with the transformations, in that I won't have to wait to be done with a combo before I can switch to another. I see the idea they were going for, but I don't think the execution was quite perfect. Don't get me wrong, I love the combat in the game, it's fun, but I think it was clunky for how it could have been. For this last point, it is probably the idea I want most in the game, and I'll be really sad when it's not in it. I want the loading screens to be like how they were in Kingdom Hearts 3, where it was like an Instagram post. That was one of my favorite parts about the game. You could do so many cool things with that, and I think it has so much potential. You could give characters we rarely see in the game some way to show up. And let's face it, Roxas' story is done. It's not like we aren't going to see him ever again, but he's probably not going to be as big to the plot as we would like him to be. Just have him post something on their version of Instagram, like sitting on top of the tower with his friends or entering a struggle battle and winning. This way it gives us the satisfaction of seeing him without taking away from the story. You can do this with all the other characters too. Do you all believe that Sora would be sitting there in the gummy ship and not be scrolling through TikTok? The boy has a phone. You don't think he wouldn't be calling or texting his friends to check up on them? Have an app on the phone where you can have conversations with people. Most other games already do this. It's a way for other characters you don't see as often to put in their 2 cents in on things. And that sounds so in character for Sora to me. It wouldn't even have to be canon to the story, just something that's fun and interesting. Now I know there will be people saying, well, Sora is actually really bad with technology, so that wouldn't actually work. Shut up, okay? Phones aren't that hard to figure out, and the only technology Sora's ever touched are literal flying spaceships and supercomputers that can turn physical beings into data. I don't want to break that too. Now, one of the things you could also do is give us tidbits on how the developers made the game. Give us a picture of the orchestra playing a song, give us a picture of somebody modeling Sora into the game. give us a picture of Namor in a meeting room talking to his staff. Just give us some kind of behind the scenes look on them creating the game. Even if you couldn't get a picture of people doing their jobs, you could give us pictures of 3D modeling or concept art. My last idea is that you could have real people post right there themselves. As long as you get permission, you can take real people's tweets about the franchise and put them right there in the game. Another way to do it is to make your own Kingdom Hearts app and have people post on that. Now I know that this is an extremely bad idea and that Pokemon actually tried it before. They made an official forum that lasted about a week after it started, but it would be so cool for real people to post to be inside the game.